All right, so we'll get started. This is a candidates forum for Stockton Unified School District Trustee, Area 6. We have with us on the left Sofia Colón and on the right Mr. Rafael Cardoza, who are both looking to be representatives. This is a forum that we've conducted before. I'm Don Blunt. I'm executive editor of the Stockton Record. To my left is Ben Irwin, one of our staff writers, who will be covering this and the race. General format here is that you'll each have 2-minute opening statements and then 2-minute closing statements. In between, we're going to have a discussion where I'll pose a question to either of you. Ben will also have questions and there'll be follow-ups. You'll have approximately 90 seconds to respond. We have this high-tech system here to let you know that when you have 30 seconds remaining, when you have 15 seconds remaining, and when you are out of time. Okay. The savvy candidates all keep an eye on the table and see which way my hand is going so they know pretty much where we're headed with everything. Yes. So, given all of that, we can get started, and we'll get started with the opening statements. Usually we flip a coin in some cases. This time I'm just going to do a random pick. I'm going to start with Ms. Colón. So please go ahead. You have your 2 minutes.
Hello, my name is Sofia Colón, and I'm running for Stockton School Board for Area 2 or Area 6. Can we start again? I know this is like.
Just go ahead.
My name is Sofia Colón, and I'm running for Stockton School Board for Area 6. I'm running because I want to hold our school district accountable to the community's priorities and values. Our school system has been mismanaged truly for far too long, and it seems like the worst is upon us. But there is a better way. I want us to vote for strong leadership that will turn this ship around. We need leaders who will focus on student success. One of my focuses is on third grade literacy rates. Currently, they're at 26%, and this is just unacceptable. By forming a task force on literacy, I hope to focus attention on this critical measure and increase this to at least 50% in 4 years. It's only 10% per year, and I think our students deserve that. Another priority of our community is financial accountability. We have recent audits that have been performed and 2 grand jury reports on our school district. And it is alarming what they have found. But what's good about an audit is that they tell us exactly what we need to do. And so we need to vote strong leadership who's humble enough to follow through on our requirements and on the recommendations to put Stockton Unified on a better path. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Cardoza.
Good evening. My name is Rafael Cardoza. The reason I'm running for School Board Area 6 here in Stockton, California is to give parents a voice. It is to put representation up there that is not directed by a union or a teachers association, to give a voice that is not swayed by financial gain, if you will. Another standing point is to increase the safety, the student safety and teacher safety on our school sites. If they don't feel safe, they can't learn. Transparency, that's easy, is just to be honest and open with who you're talking to, and don't BS people. And if people are backing you in, you have to believe in what they're saying. To unify the board, to unify the unions, to unify the whole district. Nobody's unified. The unions aren't unified, the board's not unified, and our district is definitely not unified. To unify. Transparency, again, is honesty. Sorry, didn't mean to repeat myself. As well as financial responsibility, smart decision making. You know, everybody has an ABC, a plethora of doctorates and bachelor's degrees and the like. And I ask you, out of the last 14 years, since we received one of these reports 14 years ago, in these last 2, what have those ABCs, BAs, bachelor's degree credentials, what have they done for our district. I stand here with the education of life, the life of education of hard knocks. I come from 50 years of experience. I've raised 7 children successfully, and I plan, and I have 1 more left in the school district, and plus my grandchildren are another reason I'm running. I'm tired of the sexual indoctrination of our children by certain entities that look like they're there. Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Cardoza, I'm going to stay with you for the first question. As I recall, hearing you, I think at another venue, you said that you were the angry parent who's getting involved because you're tired of seeing what's going on. What are the top 3 attributes that make you the best choice for this seat?
My leadership ability, my ability to express myself in a constructive manner, my ability to research topics thoroughly and come to a conclusion that will benefit our kids, students and teachers, and our faculty. Qualifications, again, I could have all the doctrines and bachelor's degrees and MAs that I want, but again, I ask, what have those done for any of the candidates or people on the board right now? I'm a strong person. I project well. I feel that I get my point across. That's pretty much it. Just a strong leadership ability.
Okay. All right, Ms. Colón, we're not going to make it easy for you by giving you the same question. I'm going to give you a different question.
Okay.
There is a $215 million bond measure that voters are being asked to approve. Why should the incoming board be trusted with that money?
It's a great question. When this bond was introduced to the board, it was at the same meeting of the first FICMAT report. So the FICMAT report presentation outlined that our facilities department does not have a 10-year plan. It outlined all of the red flags actually that the grand jury has brought up in the second grand jury report. On that same day, they also talked about proposing this bond measure. So as a parent, as an investor, if you're looking at whether something is going to make it through this bond, it hinges on a strong administration. It hinges on strategic planning. And right now, from what we understand, that's in question with the board. It's in question with the facilities department, especially if they don't have a 10-year plan. How alarming is that? So in order for that bond measure to be successful, we need to make sure we are electing leaders who will ensure the administration will develop a strategic plan, first of all, adhere to financial accountability, then we'll know that that bond measure is going to be successful and put to the use that it says it's going to be put to, rather than the bonds of the past, which right now we can't even find the reports to follow it.
Quick follow up for you. Do you support Measure C? And do you think that it is the right time to ask for $250 million from the public before that plan is in place that you just talked about, or after that plan is in place?
I support the measure. I do, because I feel strongly in the public's ability to elect strong leadership. We can get to the drawing board and develop a strategic plan with the right people in place in that administration. This is something that shouldn't take long to produce. It takes dedication, due diligence. We can make a strategic plan work and make that bond work for our students.
Mr. Cardoza, does Stockton Unified, does the district get a bad rap?
Does Stockton Unified get a bad rap as a whole?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Across the board, from the what was it, 5 years ago, from the Stockton Unified School District Public Safety, personnel being charged with discriminatory practices and over-policing to the current debacle with the board and grand jury report. That's the picture that's been painted not by any parents, but by the entities themselves.
Ms. Colón, what do you think?
Always the school district has gotten a bad rap. I am a product of Stockton Unified, and when I was at Franklin High School, it was hard to find good articles printed about Franklin, about Stockton Unified. It's a perception. Stockton in general, we could say gets a bad rap, but we know that we have good people here. We have people who are working hard to do good in the city. Same goes for our school district. If we look at our classrooms, and a lot of us had a front row seat during distance learning, we know that our teachers are working hard. We can hear it. I heard it in their voices to engage those students who were behind a screen. I could hear how passionate and how hard they were really working. That's something we need to talk about. We need to talk about those positive things. Yes, there's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of things we need to work on. That's what gets highlighted, but we also need to look and balance that with some of the good things that are also coming out of this district.
Okay. So we're going to follow up on that point. So what needs to be done for the image of Stockton Unified to change?
Anytime that you're looking to change the culture of an organization, it starts at the top. It starts with our superintendent and our board of trustees, consistent leadership. We need to have that top level in accord so that trickles down. We know that we have teachers in the classrooms that are working hard for our students. In any organization, that culture doesn't really float up without it starting from the top. It always starts from the top and works down. So we need a consistent superintendent, a consistent board, and then we can start to turn that message around through the proof. We can talk about doing these things, but once we have that in place, we start to cascade the culture, things will start to improve, and we can show you. Then you can write these wonderful articles about the improvement of Stockton Unified.
Mr. Cardoza, she just mentioned the superintendents. I don't know if I have enough fingers to count the number of superintendents that have been in the district over the past 10 years. But what needs to be done to stop that revolving door and get someone who can stay here a long time?
Due diligence. Do your research on the candidates that are going to be hired. Don't do anything in the dark that should be done in the light, if you will. Bring the candidates out when they narrow it down to say a field of 3. Make it known to the public who they are. Let the public do their due diligence. At this point in time, you stated that you don't have enough fingers on your hands. So I believe it's like 13 or 14 in as many years. It's been a lot of revolving door superintendents, and it's getting old. It's like they're coming in just to get that little contract real quick and then bounce. And then while they're here, they're doing damage by trying to make haste decisions. Due diligence. Research the individuals. They hire all these consulting firms, to do the research and look at I don't understand why nobody in our district is not doing, the HR is not doing the hiring. So I would keep that internal. I would do the interview process internally and not go to an outside entity to look for what we need, because we know what we need, not the consulting firm. The consulting firm can assume what we need. We in Stockton truly only know what we need.
Ms. Colón, same question.
I would like to write it in the contract that they stay, that they are not allowed to leave with their contract amount if they don't serve their term. There actually has been community input in advocating the type of superintendent that we want, and we advocated for Dr. Davalos. We advocated for Dr. Daisy. because we believed Dr. Davalos, for example, we believed that he fit our profile. I was a part of the South Stockton Schools Initiative and a part of a parents, students, and stakeholders that met and talked about what a superintendent does. We talked about the qualities we wanted in a superintendent. We took this recommendation to the board. So we do need to have community input, and it's been done in the past. But what happens when, it's an unfortunate situation that he left? What can we do? What can we write in the contract so that we can
I'm sorry,
guarantee?
who are you referring to? when you said-
Dr. Davalos.
Okay.
Yeah. So, how can we secure ourselves as a district? We know the board will ultimately have the decision to hire. So how can the board hold themselves responsible for the district and say, if this superintendent leaves, how can we make sure we're not throwing money out the door?
All right, thank you. In both, you said you were in a committee that was involved with the hiring of both Dr. Davalos and Dr. Dacey.
It was a committee, well, not necessarily a committee, it's an organization, South Stockton Schools Initiative.
Mhm.
We learned about parent advocacy, essentially, and one of those is to advocate for a superintendent. Community-led research, community-led discussions. We weren't involved in the hiring process.
But you recommended that
But we
you
recommended it.
Okay. Dr. Davalos, different situation with his wife's illness.
Yes.
Subsequent death. Dr. Dacey, do you have any idea why he didn't stay longer? What happened in that case?
So we have information, I think that was made public, and ultimately the board gave, how do we answer this question? He
Just answer it whatever way you think is best.
So I believe that this was a planned, amongst the board at that time, planned to remove him so that they could agree to implement Mr. Ramirez as a superintendent. That's my opinion of what occurred. I also believe that it was a time where families, unfortunately, were surviving through the early parts of the pandemic. And at the time when I was reaching out to families and friends saying, hey, we need to listen, we need to listen to the board meetings, we need to write in our emails so that they can read our words, right? We weren't even able to go meet with them. A lot of parents were telling me, hey, I'm trying to survive here. This isn't the right time. I can't listen to that. And it certainly unfolded that as soon as he left, Mr. Ramirez came in, and the rest is history.
Well, I think Mr. Brian Biederman was between Dacey and Ramirez.
For a very short time.
About 6 months, I think, maybe it's 8 possibly. Mr. Cardoza, what are the hindrances to Stockton Unified becoming better at educating students and what are the solutions to remove those hindrances?
The hindrances for Stockton Unified right now, top for me is the student safety, right? There's school shootings, school stabbings. The kids can't focus if they don't feel safe. That's a major hindrance. That's not a little hindrance. That's a worrying if somebody's going to kick in the classroom door and start shooting. We have to make the school sites safer for the students and teachers. Hindrances, bad decisions on the board. We have to stop making bad decisions on the board. Hastily made decisions by individuals who are not doing their due diligence, who are not taking the time to read the material given them on the topics, on the agenda topics, that are relying on on one or two people doing the research and then agreeing with them. That's a major hindrance. So for me, I'm going to stick with school safety, man, and curriculum. The curriculum now is, I don't understand it. As was pointed out during the pandemic, we were witness to what they were teaching our kids. 12 plus 12 is 24, but they would have you believe in order to solve this problem that you're going to have to go 12 and break a zero down and break it down to, it's too much for our kids. That's a hindrance, making things too hard for our kids to try and separate the wheat from the chaff, to try and get the kids that are excelling so they can focus on them, and then the ones that are not excelling, leave them to the side.
Ms. Colón, same question.
Can you repeat the question?
What are the hindrances to improving education within Stockton Unified, and the solutions to some of those, to remove those hindrances? At least I think that's what I said.
Okay. I think a major hindrance is that we don't provide our teachers with enough resources that they need, whether it be material resources or additional supports like paraeducators and specialists. That's the biggest hindrance that I'll focus on, because in the state of Mississippi recently, they were able to increase their literacy rates for their third graders by supplying their teachers with professional studies. So they basically training the teachers, and they also supported their students with reading specialists and paraeducators. And so with that extra support, they were able to increase their literacy rates. So when I look at that and I look at our teachers in the classroom, again, doing their best with what they have, how much more could they do for the students if we gave them all the resources that they could use? Not just that they need, but deserving of in comparison to other school districts in our Central Valley area. There's other school districts that are far above preparing their students than we are, and the only difference is that there's strategic planning happening elsewhere than here. So the greatest hindrance is that we don't provide enough resources.
I'm going to follow up a little bit more with Superintendent. Mr. Cardoza, what role does the board play in removing those hindrances?
The board is the one who approves all the policy. It's the board's decision to approve financial spending, to approve even down to suspension and expulsion of some children. Repeat the question one more time. I'm missing one point.
I said, what role does the board play in removing those hindrances?
Everything. They're everything. They're everything. From picking the superintendent on, like I said, to expelling certain children in certain instances. They're everything. They're everything. You cannot say that they're not involved in anything. Name one thing the board doesn't affect. Their decisions don't affect in the school district. Everything.
Okay. I have one last superintendent question, and I think you both answered it, or I'll ask it anyway. I'll start with you, Ms. Colón. So you do get to think about it for Mr. Cardoza. With the search delayed for the new superintendent, the new board will play an active role in that selection. What role should the community play, or should the community play a role in selecting a new superintendent?
I certainly would agree that the community should play a role. Community being not just students and parents, but the business community, other stakeholders in our community, because education plays such a key role in our economy. So, we're not just helping our students to be productive citizens, but we're a reflection for other companies to look at our city and say, do we want our business here? If we want doctors to come here, they're asking, well, how is the education system? So we need the community involved, especially right now as this is a critical time. We need as many eyes on the process as possible, and we need to hear their voices. We need to know that they're concerned. We need to know what they're concerned about. Potential superintendents, they need to hear from the community as well. How can they represent a school district if they're not informed from the community itself?
Okay. Mr. Cardoza, same question.
One more time, please.
The search for the superintendent has been delayed, and the new board will get to choose that superintendent. What role, if any, should the community play in that search process and that selection?
Well, as stated, once they narrow it down to the final 3 to 5 candidates for the position, I feel they should make those names public. and let the community, the ones that are interested anyways, let the community do their due diligence as well as the district itself. Because we need to unify the two, the community and the district. We're so separate right now. It's not funny. We cannot come to an agreement on anything. When I hear the community input, I'm new to this whole political thing. And when I go to the various organizations, and I've been to a few meetings here and there, and I see the people that are there, and it's not parents, it's not community people, sir. It is, I to tell you the truth, I don't know who's controlling some of these organizations. It's just not community input the way that I feel they're trying to make it seem. Actual community input.
Okay. What do you think of the grand jury report, Ms. Colón?
Following the school board for several years, sadly, I'm not surprised what they found. I'm glad that there were reports done. That way, the public knows what the truth is. Talking about what's going on at the school district, after a while, it sounds like it can't be true. It really sounds so unbelievable that just cannot be true. But these reports back up the findings, right? These are legitimate reports. They should be respected. They should be followed. I should probably just stop it there because I'm not surprised by what they found, but I'm glad that they were done because that's our proof. That's the weight that we should carry when we say there's corruption going on. Here is the grand jury report.
You do realize you can continue. I won't tell anyone what you've told me.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know if that was. There's not.
I'm joking.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
joking. You can say what you feel comfortable saying. Okay. Mr. Cardoza, same question.
Repeat it one more time, so I get in context.
What do you think of the grant? Is this? I feel like I'm on a taking a memory test.
No, you're fine.
Are you? What do you think? What's your view of the grand jury report?
Eye-opening, enlightening. I don't understand how the current board right now is, I guess, trying to make it seem noble that they're disputing only half of the grand jury's findings. So my question is, what about the other half? In my lifetime, in my 50 years on this earth, not one time have I broken a law, let's just say broken a law and had to go before a judge and be able to time travel and take that crime back. You can't do that in the real world, and that's what's happening now. I'm ashamed of the grand jury report. I'm ashamed of myself and my community for allowing what's going on with our school district to continue. We can point fingers at the board, we can point fingers at the administration, we can point fingers at the superintendent, but what it all boils down to is Stockton, we fell asleep. We fell asleep and we allowed these individuals to sneak in and take over our schools. That's pretty much it. I'm done.
I don't know. So you had time, just letting you know where you stood. I would have jokingly say, I like the way you said you've never broken a law and had to go before a judge, which sort of implies charges may have been dismissed, but we don't need to talk about that.
Oh, no, I was a bad boy. I was a bad boy, sir, but I did my
really?
time. When I got in trouble, I got in trouble, but not once did I time travel. It's not possible.
Okay. I was only joking. But thank you.
You made me show my good.
No, just that notion you just mentioned at the end about Stockton falling asleep. I heard you say that before.
Sure.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit on the responsibility you feel is on the community?
Well, I feel I'm a very involved parent, at least for the last 7 years in the school district due to certain happenings between myself and the safety department, the Stockton Unified School District Police Department. Repeat your question one time, Dan.
Just wanted you to elaborate on your thoughts on Stockton falling asleep and
because we as parents should know everything that goes on with our kids, with our schools. We love our kids and we send our kids to school daily into what we assume are safe hands, and that they're being taught the right things. And I just don't feel that they are.
I'd like to add to that, and I know that one question
Or-
wasn't for me,
no,
but it's
no,
a discussion, so.
Yeah, but it's through me. So.
Oh, I'm sorry,
So,
okay.
Yeah, part of it is that you two aren't going back and forth. That way, candidates aren't arguing back and forth.
Gotcha.
That's why it comes through me.
I
So.
don't think there's many spots that myself and Senator Colón would argue over.
Well, that's fine, but still, we just for consistency, this is how we handle things.
Seriously.
Because actually, what I wanted to ask you was about how could you go on the board, not being in, I guess, the main, let's just say, group or voting block or whatever that you go in. How would you go into that, remain an independent thinker, and still remain effective?
Without being a part of a block.
Yes,
The majority.
the majority, because you're going in new. So unless deals are made ahead of time, then
Mhm.
you're still whomever would be finding their way. So my question is,
Mhm.
how do you go in as someone new and remain independent and effective?
Information gathering, relationship building. I need to be able to know the right questions to ask. I need to be able to have access to information. So if we're looking at facilities information, I need to be able to know that I can talk to a person either by phone or by email, get my questions answered to understand a proposal, a contract. So I need to have facts, so that way when I come in as a new person onto the board, I can bring an unbiased opinion by sticking to facts and information. So that's what I intend to do going in. And as I build trust and build relationships with people, I won't leave that information behind, but that will give me more support to be able to say, okay, I'm gathering information from this person. It's trusted information, but I know I can also access information from another side of the department. I can access information from teachers. Then I can widen my net, so to speak, and gather more information to make a better decision.
Are you attending school board meetings now regularly?
I have been. I haven't recently, just due to personal
How recent?
conflicts.
A month, 3 months?
Probably
5
not
months?
probably not since March, to be honest.
And you, Mr. Cardoza, are you attending school board meetings?
Sir, yeah, I attend bi-monthly, as well as the stakeholder, as well as the CAC meetings, the 3 buys, and what was the one I went to? The forum for the chief of Stockton Unified Safety, SUSBD. So I try to attend regularly, yes, I do.
Are you willing to remain accountable to the public through town hall meetings?
Affirmative, 100%. Anybody can come to me and ask me anything.
Okay. And you?
Yes, and I also have a plan to reach out to the business community so that we can hold informational meetings where our parents are, where they're working. So trying to build better communication throughout. A lot of parents can't come to a town hall. Even they might not be able to access the web if we had it either Facebook or webinar. So I intend to engage the business community and try to have these meetings where our parents are.
Business community. One of the things that I've sort of heard is about how, and you touched on this a bit earlier, how Stockton Unified prospective employers look to come here and they go, oh, and they just, Google Stockton education and they come across Stockton Unified's reputation, you hear about it. And seeing either performance or other issues, this makes them shy away from locating here or go somewhere else. Or other doctors, medical professionals, some other people, business who may do business here may not put their kids in school here.
Correct.
What can be done to change that? And can the district partner with businesses to change that? I'll start with you, Ms. Colón.
I think there's a start of a great momentum of the partnership with the business community because of that fact, because we need to build our economy here and it starts with education. The change is gonna come when we start to see results. We can say all we want, right, and have our plans. If we can include the business community in those plans as stakeholders, then we can get some more buy-in and some support for a strong strategic plan. And as we start to hit those measurements, we start to hit those successes and the markers, and I think we should celebrate all our wins. Then we're gonna start to turn that perception around. At least shed some light in a different direction, right? Here's where we were. Can we say that this was the rock bottom? And now look at where we've come. Stockton has always been a turnaround. We can come from this. If this can be our rock bottom, we can start to turn things around.
Well, let me put it this way. If you were going to sell me on Stockton Unified, what would you tell me? As either a parent, a prospective employee, so another individual, what would you tell me about Stockton Unified to entice me to want to be in that area?
Utter honesty, as a parent,
As a parent and employee,
probable candidate, right now, there is no selling point for Stockton Unified School District to attract any new students, any new teachers, any new superintendents. Chief of the police department for Stockton Unified. None. There is no selling points. I wish I could lie and blow smoke and make it seem pretty, but that's not going to happen. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to shine light on the fact that we are not able to do that, and we should be able to do that.
Ms. Colón, same question.
I believe that we do have hope. And when I've talked to voters, when I've talked to teachers, when I've talked to our school employees, yeah, we're angry. We're angry. I'll just say, we're disgusted with what's going on. But in every conversation, when we end, there's a hope that this is going to get better. And so if I were talking to somebody, and actually this actually came up when I was canvassing over off of Waterloo area, I actually ran into a person who was a prospective buyer, and he asked about the neighborhood and he asked about the schools. And I said, we're at a turning point. We're at a critical turning point, just like the rest of America is at a turning point where our education systems are struggling. But the teachers that I've talked to and the school employees that I've talked to and the parents that I've talked to, they want to see improvement. If they didn't want to see improvement, then there would be nothing good to talk about. But we have people that are working hard at their front line to do their best, and that's what I say to these people. That's where our hope is.
Okay. May I interject something, sir? May I?
Well, in fairness, I did not allow Ms. Colón to
Oh,
interject.
I'm sorry. Okay,
So
I got
I'm
you.
going to have to say no to you.
Hold
as
it
well.
for later, sir.
You can hold it. Yeah, you both can hold it for later. Do you have any other
See how we
questions?
are with discussions.
I like it.
All right. I think it's been a very interesting discussion. I really do appreciate that. So what I'm going to do is go to our closing statements, and we'll start with Mr. Cardoza.
My closing statement.
Yep, 2 minutes, sir.
I thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me and my views as a parent, as a frustrated parent, not an angry parent. I'm not just want to interject that in there. Frustrated parent, not angry. I'm doing this for the right reasons. I'm doing this for the safety of your children, for the safety of my children, for the safety of our teachers in our community, to help get answers that we as Stocktonians deserve. 14 years ago, we received a grand jury report very similar to this one. Do your research, do your homework, and nothing has changed. The same people that were running it back then are still running it now. I go up there, I stand before you by myself. Nobody's giving me money. I don't want your money. I don't want your time. I want your vote. I want you to give me the power and the ability to help our kids, to get them away from evil people that are over-sexualizing our children, that are teaching that certain things are okay that are clearly not on a fundamental level to me. So I want you guys to keep in mind, vote for the right person, yes. Vote for the person that's gonna stand strong for you guys. Vote for the person that is, I don't wanna say this, that is, I'm not in anybody's pocket. I'm just gonna put it like that. Nobody finances me. I do everything by myself. My sign's handmade. My manager over there helps me immensely. I am in nobody's pocket. I will lead by example. I will not let others lead me. Thank you.
Okay. And Ms. Colón, your closing statement?
My name is Sofia Colón, and I'm running for Stockton Unified for trustee for Area 6. And I'm running because I truly do want to hold our community at a higher standard, and I want to hold our school district at a level where we can be proud again to send our children to the school system and to work alongside with our families and our administration. So I have 3 pillars that I've been talking about: 3rd grade literacy rates, financial accountability, and I'm also focused on community engagement. So I would humbly ask for your vote. I would be honored to have your vote for this election so that we can have strong leadership that will ensure accountability, that will be able to provide resources that are desperately needed in our classrooms, and so that we can work together as a community for our students' success. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank both of you. It's been interesting and entertaining and enlightening. So again, thank you for your time.
I enjoyed myself. This was